Here are a number of British, or Britain-connected, personalities whose deaths involved their bodies being discovered long after they had died or after they were missing for days or longer, similar in theme to the video/article title you mentioned, Found Dead Alone, 13 British stars whose bodies weren't found for weeks. I've included the most verifiable cases where there's reliable public documentation. Joyce Vincent lived alone in a small flat in North London, quietly slipping out of contact with friends and family in 2003. After losing her job and withdrawing from her social circle, no one realized she had disappeared. Tragically, she died sometime in late 2003, likely from natural causes. Because her rent was paid through housing benefits and her television was left on, neighbors assumed the apartment was simply unoccupied. It wasn't until January 2006, more than 2 years later, that bailiffs forced entry over unpaid bills and discovered her remains. Unopened Christmas presents sat nearby, a haunting reminder of her final days and the silent isolation she endured. Mark Speight, best known as the energetic host of the children's art show Smart, was once one of Britain's most beloved TV personalities. But behind the cheerful image, he struggled deeply after the tragic death of his fiancée in 2008. Overcome with grief and depression, Speight disappeared shortly afterward, sparking concern among friends and fans. His body was later discovered in a disused building near Paddington Station in London, where it had remained for several days before being found. The heartbreaking case shocked the nation and highlighted the hidden emotional battles many public figures face away from the spotlight. The Vivienne, the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race UK, was celebrated for sharp wit, bold style, and a powerful stage presence that inspired fans across the country. In early 2025, concern grew when friends were unable to reach the performer for several days. Living alone at the time, the silence went unnoticed until a neighbor and authorities conducted a welfare check. Tragically, the Vivienne was found deceased at home after being unresponsive for a short period. The news shocked the entertainment world, sparking an outpouring of tributes from fans and fellow performers, and once again highlighting the hidden struggles and isolation that can exist behind public success. Gemma McCluskey, known for her role in the long-running BBC soap EastEnders, shocked Britain when she suddenly disappeared in March 2012. After days of no contact, her family reported her missing, triggering a major search operation across East London. Concern quickly grew as there was no activity on her phone or social media. Several days later, her remains were discovered in the Regent's Canal, confirming the worst fears. The tragic case devastated fans and loved ones, especially as it later emerged she had been killed following a violent domestic dispute. Her death highlighted the dangers that can exist behind closed doors and left a lasting impact on the British television community. Peaches Geldof. The daughter of musician Bob Geldof, Peaches Geldof was a familiar face in British media. In April 2014, concern grew when friends and family were unable to reach her for hours. Living quietly at her home in Kent, she had last been seen earlier that day. Police conducted a welfare check and tragically found her deceased inside the house. Although the discovery came the same day, the shocking circumstances surrounding her private struggles deeply affected the public. Her sudden death at just 25 years old sparked widespread discussion about hidden addiction issues and the pressures of fame behind a seemingly glamorous life. George Michael. Global pop icon and former Wham! Star George Michael passed away at his home in Oxfordshire on Christmas Day 2016. Living a largely private life in his later years, the singer was alone at the time of his death. His body was discovered later by his partner after he became concerned about the unusual silence. Authorities confirmed he had died from natural causes, but the news stunned fans worldwide. The quiet and solitary nature of his passing contrasted sharply with his massive global fame, reminding many how even the most celebrated stars can spend their final moments in complete privacy. Alan Rickman. Beloved actor Alan Rickman, known worldwide for playing Professor Snape in the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 2, kept his illness private from the public. In early 2016, he passed away at home after a battle with cancer that few outside his inner circle knew about. Because he had chosen to live quietly and privately during his final months, the news of his death came as a sudden shock. Though his passing was discovered quickly by family, the secrecy surrounding his condition and his quiet final days deeply moved fans and colleagues, highlighting his lifelong preference for privacy away from media attention. Caroline Aherne was one of Britain's most respected comedy talents, best known for creating and starring in the hit BBC series The Royal Family. Despite her success, she gradually stepped away from the spotlight, choosing a quiet and private life in her hometown of Timperley. In later years, Aherne battled a serious illness but kept her condition largely out of the public eye. When she passed away at home in July 2016, only close friends and family were aware of how unwell she had become. News of her death was announced shortly afterward, shocking fans and colleagues who had not realized the severity of her health struggles. Her peaceful, private passing reflected the modest and reserved nature she maintained throughout her life, leaving behind a legacy of warmth, honesty, and unforgettable British comedy. Freddie Starr was once one of the biggest names in British entertainment, famous for his wild energy, sharp impressions, and headline-grabbing career throughout the 1970s and 1980s. After years of television success and sold-out performances, his life grew quieter, and he eventually moved to Spain to live away from the public eye. In May 2019, concern arose when neighbors realized they hadn't seen him for several days. Authorities entered his home in Costa del Sol and sadly discovered he had passed away, with reports suggesting he had been dead for some time. The news shocked fans across the UK, especially given the contrast between his once larger-than-life fame and the solitude of his final days, highlighting how even the brightest stars can fade into isolation over time. Behind the fame, applause, and flashing cameras, many stars lived their final days in heartbreaking silence. The stories of legends like George Michael, Freddie Starr, and Caroline Aherne remind us of a powerful truth: fame doesn't always protect against loneliness. Some of the brightest lights in entertainment faded away quietly, their absence noticed only days or even weeks later. These tragic cases reveal the hidden side of celebrity life, where isolation, privacy, and personal struggles often remain unseen by the public. If this video moved you, take a moment to check on someone you care about. And for more untold stories from the darker side of fame, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay connected to the channel. Because sometimes, the saddest stories are the ones no one hears in time.